Well, hello, my little beauties, and welcome. Welcome indeed to today's. Oh, are we on? Are we on? Here we are. Hello. Hello to you. Hello to you. Very nice to have you here, and welcome to today's live coding sesh with me, David Connolly, the web developer extraordinaire. I've not done any coding since Thursday, which is kind of unusual for me, so my hands are feeling quite good. I'm hoping to do about, let's see, it's 4:30, 5, 6, 7, 8, maybe about 3 or 4 hours, something like that, you know. And what can I tell you? It's all happening here. Now, I know that you cannot see the screen, but that's because I'm just getting set up. I'll have you on in just a little second, okay? Alright kids, so I'm going to be working on this LastPass clone today. I wonder if you can see the screen here. Can we see the screen? Is anybody here? Is it just me? Who knows? Anyway, this is going to be the thing. And a good vibe it shall be. I'm just adjusting my monitors and whatnot. Okay, so anyway, it's going to be a LastPass clone. Eventually it will be turned into a Google extension. And just as a reminder, this is live coding, this is real coding, this is not a tutorial. I repeat, not a tutorial. So I'm going to just get straight to it then. In fact, let me get a swig of water and then we'll start. Okay, so let's just have a little look at this thing. Now, let's see if we go to extensions. I'm going to switch this thing off, I think. And then I'll log in here. Something like this. And then we get something looks a little bit like this. Now, if I head over to the database here, you'll see that I have a database called 2FAPass, and you can see that I've got a variety of different tables, and one of them is called website records. And in here we have a whole bunch of stuff. And my plan is I want to get it working just as a plain website first, so no encryption, no security, actually nothing like that at all. And it's Ahoy to Stefan. I just saw you there, Stefan. I hope you're doing well. Very nice to see you, very nice to see you. Just going to see if I can turn this screen down a bit. It's really bright. I don't know if you can. Have I just messed this up? Oh, it's as dim as it goes. Alright, well, let me see if I can just turn my lights up. Give me a second. It's incredibly dark in here, and I know from experience that that's not a good thing, you know? So give me just a little sec. Okay, so here we go. So it's going to be just an ordinary site that does the addition and all of that stuff. And thank you very much. Now you can see that we've got a segment here that says your passwords. I'm going to go into your passwords, and you can see I've made up a little thing called ditch here. So this is a development thing, and so if I go to your passwords /ditch, what happens is we clear some records and we end up back here. Now I'm going to add a new item. This will be a password, and I'm going to just, actually, you know what, for the purposes of speed, I think I'm going to write a wee bit of code that will populate this quite quickly. So when this page opens, we're opening up a file by the name of website passwords.js. If I take you down here, you can see I've got a thing that says dev auto open form. Now let me just click that and refresh, and nothing happens. So let's just see if we can get this moving. Actually, I reckon if I do a hard reload, there you go. So as you can see, I've added in a little script here, and what it does is it opens this form incredibly quickly, which is good for speed purposes, you know. You can see that we've got usernames and all of that, but I repeat, I have not got folders set up yet, and that's what I'm going to do next. So let me just go have a look at folders manage. You can see I've got a bunch of folders here, looks kind of good, and we've got these different categories. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make it so that this page has the different categories for those folders. Now, a quick view at the page source here shows us that we have some JavaScript files in town. You'll see that we've got admin, bootstrappy, tongate date time, and then we've got one called custom.js. I think I'm going to use that one. So custom.js is going to be here. And how does this go? Do you know what? Forget custom.js. Let's just go crazy. We'll open up your passwords. Now this page is index, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to get a thing that says this module folders, and then I'm going to say data all folders is this. I'm going to turn this music down. Let me give myself a wee break. Right, so this is going to be this folders get all folders like this. So we head over to folders. This is me coding flat out, by the way. We head over to folders. We say function get all folders. Now I'm going to just say all folders is an array. Then I'm going to say folders, rows is this model. I'm going to get all of the rows ordered by ID. That's on the folders table. Then I'm going to say for each rows as row, I'm going to say that the update ID is row ID. Then I'm going to say all folders with a key of update ID equals, and what is the name of the column? I hear you say. The answer is it's folder name. So I'm just going to say row, loading up, folder name, and that is pretty much it. Now I suppose if I want to be super proper, I could actually say row data folder name is row loading up folder name. Then I could say row data. Now do you see how we've got URL string? So I could do that and then say row URL string, and then we could just say that all folders with a key of row ID equals this row data, and then we return all folders. Back over here you can see that I've now said data all folders is blah 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 blah. If I do a little JSON data true, then you'll see it gives me let's see, JSON data all folders. Here we go, JSON data all folders. And here they are. So here are all of the folders. We're now going to pass those into the view file. Thank you very much indeed. Thank you very much indeed. So I'm passing in all folders into the view file, which is called your passwords. And what I think I'm going to do is, oh geez. Right, this is probably a good time to go into custom. And maybe we can just say, maybe even right at the top here, const all folders is, and we'll do, oh geez, how are we going to do this? We could say in PHP, JSON encode all folders like that. Now, if we head in to JS custom.js, oh, you miserable swine, custom. Slow down. Custom.js. You can see we've now got this, but it ain't quite working. That's a bit of a downer. So how are we going to do this? Well, let's have a think. What we could do is, if we look at this bootstrappy template, we could actually go into that, go like this. Now we know that this is loading up here, and then maybe around about here we could do a little script tag, and then take this here, chuck it in here. We're gonna now going back round about here. Let's refresh. Let's view the page source, and if you look down, I did a typo. All folders. There it is right there. So there's all of our folders. Now, just to prove that this actually works, if we alert json.stringify, and I'll just say something like all folders with a key of 3, what it's going to do is something like that. So we do have the folders. Now, with that being the case, when this page loads up here and it says select a folder, what we really need is a drop down. So I'm going to find the part for select a folder. Here it is right here. So you can see if I can just find it. Alright, here's our select a folder thing. So if we just, I'm just going to kind of cheat and say form drop down, and I'm just going to say whatever options, and then I'll leave this empty. Now I'm kind of cheating here, but let me just say that options is, please select. Options is first. You get the idea. So what that's going to do is it gives us a nice little drop down here. With that being the case, we can now inspect, and what we end up with is a perfect representation of the code that we need to create one of these drop downs here. So there it is. Now you can see that we've been given it an ID of folder. There's no need to stop that tradition, so I'm going to say ID is folder, and name is folder. I'm okay with that as well. Then we've got this value is selected. Okay, so let's just say, actually I think LastPass leaves that empty by default, and so what we would have then would be something a little bit like this. 2, 3, I'm gonna say 2, gonna say 3, we're gonna say second, and we're gonna say third. Perfect. So if we refresh that, here's our drop down. It's not completely perfect, but I think it is quite good actually. And I think I am going to say that the value is empty and then select folder. Why not? Why not? So now we truly have our folder here in full formation. So when we add a record, we're going to have to choose a folder. Alright. But of course, what we really need to do is take this thing here, which is an ID, and when this page loads, and this page is called website passwords. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to say populate folder drop down. So we'll have a wee bit of code that populates the folder drop down. And chef is here. It's ahoy to chef. So populate folder drop down. Now I'm going to go into custom.js. Are we going to do this here? I think we probably are, because it's kind of a ubiquitous, is that the word, thing? So function populate drop down. Now this is going to take in a selected folder ID, and I'll just assume it to be empty. Now let me just alert rock save. We'll do a hard reload, and as you can see it says rock. Now let's say const folders, what on earth was it called again? Yeah, folder drop down. So I'm going to say that the folder drop down is document.getElementById folder hyphen drop down, and that's what I'm going to call it. Now I'm going to say for, and I'm going to loop through. Do you remember how I had this thing called all folders? So I'm going to loop through all folders, and for each and every one of these I'm going to say const new select option is document.createElement select. Then I'm going to say, let's think about our code here for a minute. So it's actually option. So I'm an idiot. So it's option, then value, then inner HTML. Okay, so it's option. Then I'm going to say new select option, set attribute value. Now the value is going to be all folders of an index of I, and we'll pass in the ID. Finally, we're going to say new select option dot inner HTML equals, it's going to be all folders I, and then folder name. Okay, so the inner HTML is all folders, blah, 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 inner HTML. Then I'm going to just say all folders dot append child of new select option. Now what that should do, if I've been lucky here, is it should populate the drop down, and it does not. So what did I do wrong here? Let me just see if this thing's working. Alright, so it's saying rock and roll. Let's do a little I here. Ah, okay. So let me console.log all folders.length undefined. Let me console.log all folders. So that is all folders. It's an object. Well, I thought that was going to be cool, so let me go to bookmarks. I'm going to call in my employee of the month, and I'm just going to say, how do you loop through a JavaScript object? I should probably one moment. All right, let's be a bit more exact. How do I loop through the following JavaScript object and create a select drop down with, now we've got folder name in the inner HTML. An ID for the value of each option. So here we go. It's the employee of the month. Yeah, that's slightly obscure JavaScript we're getting here. Okay. Okay. Finally, it will append blah 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 blah. Okay, let me try something else. How do what would be an array representation with square brackets for that? An array representation would look like this. Now, I don't know about you, but that looks a bit better to me. It's just a wee bit easier on the old eyeballs, you know? Did I say Chef is here? It's Ahoy, Chef. Ahoy, Stefan. Ahoy to everybody here. It's Saturday. Where would you rather be? Where would you rather be? Oh, it's good to see you. It's good to see you. I hope everybody's having a good day, whatever you're doing. And it's great to see you joining us. For anyone who's just coming on board for the first time, this is not a tutorial. This is live coding. That's right, folks. Live coding. Now I'm going to estimate that this is now going to work now that I've done that. So let's just give it a little bit of a try. If we can. Alright, give me a minute. Okay, so we're still not quite there. Let's have a wee look at this console thing. Folders.append child is not a function. All folders? Oh no, of course it's not all folders. It's all folders It's that particular one. Here we go. You miserable swines. So let's have a look at this. No, it's not all folders It's folder drop down. It's folder drop down. Append child of new select option. That's right, 100%. And don't it make you feel good? So now that we've figured that one out, let's clear out the fields that we don't need. So that might be something like this. We'll have a little refresh. And there you go. So now we've got our drop down. It certainly took long enough, but I'm feeling kind of cool about this now. So the next thing that I want to do is I want to make it so that if they add in a record with, say, a Gmail address or something, I want it to automatically add a picture. Let me show you what I mean. It's actually not too difficult. So if we go to something like, here's our admin panel, right? And you can see I've got manage item pictures here. And you can see I've even added a bunch of pictures, okay? So the idea here is that if somebody comes onto the site and they say, I'm going to add a new item, and let's say they say, okay, the URL is going to be this. I'll say .co.uk. And oh, geez, I hate those autocompletes. Anyway, let's say they say, this is PayPal Business. And they say it's going to be in here. Then imagine if they say, okay, my username is going to be something like that. And the password is going to be something like that. And then they say, here we go. Okay, you can see that that never quite worked for reasons unknown. So let's just see what happened and see if we can figure this one out. If we browse, they have indeed added in PayPal. I think the main challenge is that we don't have a picture ID and we don't have a folder ID. So if I go like this and say picture ID is 1, then load, look at the top left, or actually might even be someplace else. But did you see how that's now added? So that's what we basically have to figure out, okay? So to have a closer look at this, we hit the save button there, and that sends the new record to the thing. Now, as I'm looking at this, I can see that it says save item. So I'm going to close all the tabs, and I'm going to do a site-wide search for n save item. So here is save item. It's at line 171. Here's what it does. And it basically gets everything from the form, and then it runs submit form. Now, submit form is going to live inside here. Here is submit form. And what it's basically doing is it's sending a bunch of stuff to our API Explorer here. So if we go to API Explorer and we're going to go to website records, here it is. And you can see that we're going to the create endpoint, which is this one here. And if we now look at website records, assets, API.json, have a look at create, and you can see that we've got a before hook that says pre-insert actions. So I'm going to go here, going to head to pre-insert actions. And you can see that we do have some challenges with this. For example, we don't really have a folder anymore. We've got a folder ID. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to JSON, oh geez. Okay, let's JSON posted params true. And we'll just test this thing out, right? So A. No, actually, that's not right. Because this thing, here is clearly posting something that doesn't match up with what we've got. So that's us adding the drop down, right? And if we go to this and then have a look at submit form, here what I'm going to do is I'm just going to console.log json.stringify form data. Then I'm going to just say return. Hopefully it'll allow me to just look at the data that we've got here. So there's the URL, the name. I've got davcon, we've got the password. Let's just do the folder and we'll hit submit. So as we look up to the top left here, you can see that there's a whole bunch of stuff, but unfortunately we do not have the folder. So the question then is, how do we get the folder? And I'm going to look at this JavaScript file here. Okay, you can see that this is running read form values. So let's see if we can get that. Read form values. Now the folder here, I'm going to just say const folder drop down is document. Do we actually have a folder drop down? Give me a little second, will you? I'll console.log. You know what? Let's just console.log folder drop down, see what it does. Let's see what it does. Okay, maybe even I'll just hit return. So if we go like that and then submit, uncaught folder drop down is not defined. Fine, I am delighted. So let's do that now. We'll say const folder drop down, and it's going to be the form.query selector and ID of folder hyphen drop down. So now if I console.log folder.dropdown outer HTML, again I'll hit return, and what we should get hopefully is, there's the thing. So the question now is, let's go to the employee of the month and say, how do I fetch the selected value from a form drop down using JavaScript? The drop down has a name of folder and an ID of folder drop down. This is actually trickier than you'd think from memory. So what we do then is we use the following code. I told you it was tricky, right? Alternatively, you can use the name attribute. Query selector that, folder is that. Okay, cool. Either of these methods will work. I'll use the first one. So here we go. We are now getting our folder drop down. And I'm just going to say selected folder ID is that. Let's console.log the selected folder ID and we'll hit return. So here it comes. We're going to hit submit. You miserable swines. Where is it here? Ah, there it is. So, okay, fine. You know what? I prefer the first select. But here we go. So we're doing this. We're going to select a folder, hit submit, and there. Oh, you miserable thing. It is that. Here we go. It is undefined. Ah, man. Let's have a look here. So option value is that. Selected folder ID is that. Okay, let's see if we can get some sense out of this thing. Okay, so that's all of the options there. Now, what if we said . Okay, so here it's saying selected index. Let's try that. It is. Well, it's giving me emptiness. Cannot read blah 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 blah. So folder drop down options, selected index dot value. Is it like that? Oh, so that's saying 3. Let's go again. We might have it. Let's try this one. It's saying 1. Now, I don't know where the undefined is coming from, but I'll deal with that later. The key vibe is that we now have our folder ID. So I'm going to head down here and I'm going to say params. Now, what we got here? Okay, so let's say params folder ID equals that. Okay, so let's just refresh. And you can now see that we do indeed have a folder ID of 3 here. And that's pretty cool. If we don't select the folder ID is empty. Good. So what we're going to do now then is we're going to go to where this thing gets submitted. So again, you can see that that's API create website records, and we can look at that over here. I'm gonna hit create, and I'll just chuck in some useless things. Okay, so this is going to take us over to a thing by the name of pre-insert actions. And as you can see, we've now done a JSON.stringify here, and this is all of the inbound stuff. Now, let's just clarify what we've got here. You can see that the folder ID coming in is in string format. If we said folder ID is 3 like that, there it is. Now what I think I'm going to do is around about here, I'm going to say that if you look at the table, we've got a folder ID. So let's just say that the folder ID is the posted params folder ID or a 0. Then I'm going to say data folder ID equals an integer of folder ID. It doesn't do any harm to say integer. And now I'm going to say echo hi with a little die statement. So if we head up to our API Explorer and hit submit, you can see that it says hi. That puts me in a good position to confirm that we've done what we wanted to do. Now you can see that the folder ID is 3. It has been converted into an integer and all is well. Now this leads us on to the picture ID. For the picture ID, I'm going to load up, and I'll do it right now, this module, and it's going to be called item pictures. And I'm going to say data picture ID is this item pictures, and I'll just say establish picture ID. Now the question is, what is it that we're going to actually accept here when we do this interesting thing? Well, as you can see, we don't have any mentions of pictures here, none at all. But what we do have is a website URL. So we could say, let's pass in data website URL. Okay, so we've now passed in our website URL. I'm now going to head to item pictures. I'm going to pass in function website URL. Now from here, let's just test the darn thing, you know. So I'm going to go over to item pictures, and it's called, well, I'll just call it test. Function test. I'll say OK. Alright, now we have a wee challenge with this, but that's okay. I'm going to just say function establish, and it's going to be establish picture ID. This takes in a website URL, and I'm just going to echo the website URL with a die statement. So if we say that the website URL is www.paypal.com, for example, then we say this establish picture ID and we pass in the website URL, what we end up getting is something like this. Now what we're going to do is we're going to look at our item pictures here, and you can see that we've got a URL identifier string. Okay, so what we can do then is something like the following. We want to ask the question, does this URL contain a URL identifier string from the item pictures table? That's the question. So how do we figure this out? Well, let's just say rows equals this get, will order by ID from item pictures. Then I'm going to say for each rows as row. Then I'm going to say URL identifier string equals row identifier string. Now let me just see that we do have a gig before I go any further. Okay, there it is. And so what we're going to do now is we're going to ask the question, is this URL identifier string in the submitted website URL? That's the question. So the way that we do this is we say if is numeric. If what's numeric? Well, we're looking inside the website URL for the URL identifier string. If we have it, we're going to say got it. If we don't have it, we'll echo not found. Then we're going to do a die statement. So if we refresh, pardon me, if is numeric string position, Alright, here we go. So it says here not found. Now, let's cheat. Let's just say that the website URL is that. And let's just say that the URL identifier string is that. So that time it says found. But this time it says not found. Perfect. So what we'll do then is we will assume that the picture ID is 0. That's our default. Then we're going to loop through all of those things, and if is numeric, then that means that the picture ID is going to be row calling upon ID. And of course we can actually just return the picture ID here, or if we make it all the way to the end, we just return the default picture ID. Perfect. So now we can say here, picture ID is that. I'll do a little var dump of the picture ID here. So nice to be typing without sore hands. But there it is, it's an integer. Pretty cool, pretty cool. So now we're going to go back to this website records thing. We had established what the picture ID is here. I'm going to just go like that. Now we do need to do some work with the member ID, but I'll do that later on. The key vibe is that when I now go to this page and then add in a new password, so I'll just say that this is finance and chuck it in. Okay, now I've got a return happening there. So you see how we had this? Okay, it's actually a good opportunity to do this again. I'll chuck in my little your passwords ditch thing here. Alright, so I'm going to add in another PayPal thing. So I'm going to say add item. I'll say http blah 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 blah. Now let's just say paypal.co.uk. Website name is whatever. Folder, I'll call it entertainment. Username, well, that can be any of these things. And the site password can be anything that makes you feel good. And now we're going to submit. So here we go, submitting. You miserable swine. It's as if it never refreshed the thing. Give me a wee second here, will ya? Okay, well, something happened. Let's try this again. Ditch. Okay, so we're going to say http paypal.co.uk. I'll try again. PayPal business. Again, I'll try entertainment. We'll have that. We'll have that. Go for it. Now that's unfortunate. I really thought that that was going to work. I wonder why it never worked. Let's have a look. So here's our PayPal business. We did say that the picture ID is 2. So, do you know what it is? If I refresh, it's going to be fine. Look, it's fine if we refresh. So, what that means then is that and I'm actually quite curious to see this when we add an item. In fact, I'll do it with a refresh here. So if we add a brand new item like this, I've got you. So it gives us this empty thing. Okay, so what that means is when we submit our website record, so when we submit form, it sends across and it says the new record was successfully blah 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 blah. Now, funnily enough, I'm not seeing any mention of the http.response text. Oh, there you go. New record object is json.parse http response text. That's what we've got. So what this means then is that we can go back to this. Now, do you see how we've got a before hook of pre-insert actions? Let's have an after hook, and I do believe that the after hook, hold on. So the after hook is called after insert actions. So I'm going to head to after insert actions. Here they are right here. So you can see that we've got this after insert actions. Now this is going to attempt to add in a picture path from our record object, and it's going to attempt to integrate that with our outbound content. Now let's have a quick look at add pick path. So add pick path, we get our picture ID and blah 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 blah, and I think that's probably going to work. So here we go then, we'll have a little refresh, maybe give this wee delete thing another shot. Okay, here we go. So we've now got 7 records, and I'm going to try this again. So we'll say paypal.com, chuck in a folder, hit submit. I think that worked, but I don't know what this is, and it bothers me. It certainly does bother me. So let's look at this part. This is website passwords.js. It looks like it's line 213. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to console.log a few little stars. Then I'm going to console.log http.response text. Okay, here we go again. We'll refresh. I'll chuck in anything you like. Okay, so there you go. Add pick path has too few arguments. Perfect. So let's look at that. You can see that it's expecting a record object and all item pictures. So we're going to go to after insert actions, and we're taking in our record object here. Now this is expecting all of those pictures here. So I'm going to run get all item pictures. Let's do this right now. I'll say this module item pictures. I'm going to say all item pictures is this item pictures get all item pictures. So when we're running add pick path, I'm now passing in a record object plus all item pictures, and let's give that one a little try and see what happens. So here we go, we're back to 7 items. I'm going to add in, now you can see by the way, we've got one PayPal here. I'm going to try and add another one. So I'm just going to say HTTP PayPal, I'll do .co.uk this time. I'll say PayPal business. I'll choose entertainment. Username can be anything that you like. Password can be anything that you like. And then we'll submit. Ah, now that's good, right? So now you can see that we had our PayPal business logo appeared here, and that is absolutely absolutely perfect. We've got 8 records, folks. 8 records. Let's see if we can now get 9 records. So I'm going to just refresh. I'll add in a site of some sort here. Maybe make this one like social media. There's our 9th record. And I think that is just about perfect. Alright, looking good. No errors on the screen. Everything looking fine. What did you expect? I ask you, what did you expect? Alright, this has been a wee bit intense, so I should slow down and grab a coffee. How is everybody doing? Are you having a good day? Let me know what you're working on. Whatever it is, I hope it's profitable and I hope it's syntax error free. I'm going to take just a wee minute or two and grab a coffee. I'll be right back. If I can work my mouse here. kids, alright, and we are back and ready to rock. What an intense period of my life this has been. That wee couple of days I took off from Thursday till now is the most time off I've had in ages. I worked on Christmas, I worked on New Year. I think I did an 8-hour live stream on Christmas actually. And it's funny, you know, because I actually had just assumed that my hands were knackered. I was in a lot of pain when I was typing. But just 2 days off and here they are, they're absolutely fine, you know. One of the things that I'm really determined to do this year is I have a new rule. And the new rule is that if I start a project, I'm going to finish it. This is my sacred rule. And it's not up for negotiation, you know. So that's what I'm going to do here. And that is the vibe. So if we start something, we finish, you know. Now, I actually have ideas that are a million times better than this. But I think that I just want to get this one out of the way first of all. And for today, I think a good target would be getting the delete option working. I don't know what this button is supposed to do, by the way. I have no idea. But if I can get the full crud working, that would certainly be a fine thing, don't you think? So that's what we're going to do. In fact, let's take a little commit. It's going to be the first one of the day. Here it comes. So I'm going to just head into wherever this thing lives. So I'll just say git add all, git commit m, now assigning pictures to new website records. Come on. There we go. Let's send that up to the sky. Okay, so we're going to do this delete thing. Now for this, I think the best way is just to do a good old-fashioned pop-up that goes like this, and it says, "Are you sure?" Regardless of what LastPass does, I feel as if that's kind of an obvious thing to do. And that is indeed exactly what I'm going to do. So let's have a wee look at that thing, and you can see that it's got FA trash going on. So I'm going to open up the JS here. I'm going to have a wee search for FA trash. There it is right there. And we are going to add do you see how we've got this button 1 here? And you can see that we've added in an on-click event. So we're going to do that with button 3. Now just to prove that this does work, if I head over to button 3 and click, you'll see that we get a pop-up. So what we're going to do with button 3 is we're going to do an on click and we're going to say init delete. This init delete, we're just going to save this actually, and I'm going to refresh. Now I can take out this. Okay, so let's have a look at the source code. As you can see, it says on click init delete 1. So that's what that is, and that's a record ID that it's going to delete here. So let's just go right onto the page. I'm going to function init delete, and this is taking in a record ID, and I'm going to just alert OK. So if I click this, you can see that it says OK. Now the next thing that I'm going to do is just create a pop-up, you know. So I'm going to say open modal, and I'll call it delete record modal. This delete record modal will bear a striking resemblance to that one. So if I view the source here and look for delete record, you can see that we've got a little modal vibe. Now I've copied that, and if we go into website records, views, now pardon me, it's your passwords, views, here's your passwords. Now I'm looking for somewhere that makes me feel good. There's somewhere that makes me feel good, and we've called it delete record modal, so let's do the same here, delete record modal. Now let's go back, refresh, we're going to click this, ha ha ha, and there you go. Pretty cool, right? Pretty cool. Now when we cancel, it's going to close. When we open, everything is absolutely beautiful here. So let's see if we can right, I'll make this Are You Sure an H3, I think. So here we go. Let's give it an H3 with a little class of text center. Now one of the disappointing things about all of this is that I'm not really allowed to use PHP. The reason is because the ultimate goal here is to get a Chrome extension made. So I have to stick to JavaScript, which basically means that everything is unfortunately a little bit on the slow side, you know. You can see I've got a wee hidden thing here. We don't really need that. So it's actually quite a simple thing, you know. That's what it looks like. Now this is going to say type equals button. And we're going to save and refresh. Have a wee click. There you go. Now, I'm going to add an on-click event here, and I'm going to just say delete record. Okay, so delete record is what's going to run, and I can add delete record here. Now, I'm going to just say close modal, and then I'm going to console.log deleting record, save. Now I'm going to refresh, and if we click here, then if I click delete, you'll see that it closed and it says deleting record. Now here comes the coolness. I'm going to go right to the top of this. You can see that we've got a current record code. Do we even need it? Oh people, do you hear me? Do we even need it? I don't know if we do. Let me just do a site-wide search for current record code. Alright, so I'll change it to, how about if we make it current record ID? In fact, let's copy this. Yeah, I'll keep it here. We'll make it current record ID, right? Now, when we init delete like this, we are going to say that the current record ID equals the record ID. So then when we come to deleting, we're going to pass in the current record ID, and that's how this is going to work. So if we refresh, we hit delete, we go like that, we click here, and it says deleting record 1. So if I go here, it's going to say deleting record 7. Perfect. So it just so happens that we do have an API endpoint here for deleting records, and it's this one here that's called delete1. The idea is that we chuck in an ID, and that's pretty much it. So I'm going to head to website records assets api.json. I'm going to scroll down until we see delete1. Now I'm going to make the authorization wide open, which is not good, but it'll be satisfactory for the moment. Going to copy this, and we're going to head, let's see here, let's go here. So we'll say const target URL is base URL, then we're going to add on all of that stuff there, but we're joining on right at the end here, we're joining on the record ID. So that is of course current record ID. Now let's do a post request, right? Actually, a get request. I know how to do this. I don't need to look this shit up. I know how to do this. So it's going to be const http equals new XML HTTP request. It's http.open. This is going to be a get request going to the target URL. I'm going to say http.send, and then I'll just I'll say http.onload equals a little old function. I'm going to console.log http.response text, and I'm going to console.log maybe the HTTP status. Okay, so let's now go back to our page here. We'll have a wee refresh, and we've got an error 342. It was this. Okay, here we go again. Okay, so I'm going to try and delete this record here. Actually, yeah, so let's delete this Speed Coding Academy one here. So if we go like this, then hit delete now, oh, we forgot a /. Alright, here we go again. Perfect. Now the only trouble with this is that we have our record still on the page. If we refresh, the thing will disappear, but it's not quite good enough, right? Not quite good enough. So let's now look at our cards here, and you can see that we've got a card -8. So when something gets deleted, we're going to do the following. We're going to say const cards is document get elements by class name card. No, we're not. No, we're not. No, we're not. We're going to say const deleted card is document get element by ID, and it's card hyphen, and we're going to join on our current record ID. That's our card right there. So then I'm going to just simply say if maybe we'll call this target card actually, and we're simply going to say target card remove. Now let's do that if HTTP status is equivalent to 200. Otherwise, we'll just console.log the HTTP status and the HTTP response text. Perfect. So here we go. I'm now going to try and delete this PayPal one here. So here we go. I'm clicking. I'm going to hit delete now. And there it is. It's absolutely perfect. And your applause is most welcome. Alright. The next thing I think we're going to do is a little delete record exercise here. Now I do have a question. Are we adding passwords? Probably not. Probably not. Well, that's kind of bullshit because I do want to add passwords. Get add all. Get commit. Now deleting. Okay, so the next vibe is I want it so that when we add an item here, I want it to add the correct folder, but I also want it to add in the site password and the notes. Now if I refresh, have a wee look at what we got here. Okay, so we've got 7 records, and let's have it so that our form just appears. There it is. So we'll go like this and then we'll just hit submit. Okay, so the question is, what do we have? Now if we look here, you'll see we've got a website URL, we've got everything. The only things that we're missing are the password and the notes. And I wonder why that is. So let's have a wee look at submit form. And I'm gonna just see how we've got this. Let's console.log that, and I'm gonna say true or return. Okay, now let me refresh here. So there's a whole bunch of stuff about to be submitted, and as you can see, we do have notes coming in and we do have a password coming in as well, so everything looks pretty good there. Notes, password. So what on earth is the problem? Well, to answer that, I think that we have to look at the website records thing. And from here you can see that we've got a bunch of stuff. So I'm going to just say we've got password and notes, right? So password and notes. There you go. Now I'm going to say right around here, password, notes, let's give it a try. Alright. Okay, so here we go. I'm going to refresh. I'll actually delete this just to be awkward. So there it goes. Now let me add a new record. There you go. And if we have a look at the code, the password and the notes has been added. God bless you, Stefan, and I appreciate that energy. I want to tell you something, Stefan. I want to tell you something. Look at the group. Same for you, Chef. Look at the group. I'm totally fucking unpopular. I'm totally unpopular. Been here for who knows how many years, and nobody's here apart from us. But I want you to know something. This is where the fucking winning is done. This is where the winning is done. Do you hear what I'm saying? And when you do your little fucking live stream or whatever and nobody turns up, you remember this energy. Remember the energy that we brought to the table on this day, because all that matters is that few stood against many. Do you hear me, people? Good. So, now that we've established that, let's do a commit. You know, Derek was saying to me recently we should start doing commits really quite aggressively, like all the time, and I'm going to start doing that. So the commit that we just did then was now submitting and storing the password and the notes. Okay, pretty good. All right. Now, the next thing that I think I would like to do is a little bit of form validation. Now, we do have some server-side validation going on. Oh, pardon me. Yeah, we've got client-side. Let me get this right. We've got client-side validation going on. But I would like to get server-side validation going on, you know? So, how on earth is that all going to work? Well, probably if we go like this. Now, actually, let me just get rid of this little beauty. Okay, looks good. And again. All right. So when this thing loads up, you can see that we've populated some stuff here. What I think I'd like to do is a little variation of this. So let me show you what I mean. You see how when this page loads up, I'm saying dev auto open form, right? Well, I'm going to have dev auto open form alt. And what this is going to do is open, but with an incomplete form. So it's going to be slightly different. Now let's just look for dev auto open form. I have no clue where it lives. Here it's here. Here's dev auto open form, right? So we're going to copy this little beauty and we're going to say dev auto open form alt. And if we refresh, you'll see that that now loads up. But the key difference with dev auto open form alt is that we are no longer adding in the data. So now we get a form and it's empty. Now the funny thing here is that if we submit this, we do have a little bit of server-side validation. And the server-side validation is good. But what I'm going to do now is a little get add all. Then I'm going to get commit m now about to switch off server-side validation for a short while. And so what I want to do is switch all of this stuff off. Now, how on earth do we do that? Well, you can see that it's going to save item. So I'll head in here and I'm going to search for N save item. You can see that the action for us kicks off at line 171. So here is save item. And you can also see, by the way, that this is running some validation errors. And then it's basically just saying submit form, you know. So what we'll do is we'll copy this little beauty here. We'll say submit item good. That's the good one, or save item good. Now we're going to do an alternative save item that just does this. So this save item is basically just going to load up the form, and then it's going to let us just submit the form like this. Okay? So you can see immediately that we have an error on line 173. So let's just say value is, or values is read form values. That's okay. And that is going to take us to this vibe here. Now you can see that we submitted the form and it did actually add the record. You know, here's our records. But the record is empty. I mean, if you just look at the database here, it's an empty record, you know. So what we're going to do then is back up the client-side validation with server-side validation, you know. So in order to achieve this, we're going to go to our website records endpoint here. And you can see that we've got some pre-insert actions going on. Indeed, we've even got some data here with all of the stuff that we might need. And now we're going to validate the submitted data. Shall we dance? I think we should. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to write a little PHP function to check for a valid website URL. There are a variety of different ways of doing this, but what we're going to be doing is we're going to be calling in the employee of the month. We're going to be saying to the employee of the month, write a PHP function that accepts a website URL and returns true if the URL or if the string is a valid website URL, or false if the string is not a valid URL. And now our employee of the month is going to do a function far better than anything I could ever write, you know. So we're checking, is the URL well formed? Look at the beautiful code, ladies and gentlemen. It's absolutely staggering. Oh people, do you hear me? Oh people, do you hear me? I'm at the fucking peak of my powers right now. Thanks to my employee of the month, and thanks to you. Okay, here we go. So this is telling us what it's doing. It checks if the URL is well formed and all of that stuff. And does it have a valid top level domain? Now, I don't know about that valid top level domain name thing. I really don't know about that. That's a bit dodgy. Can we get rid of the top level domain checks? Because there's .coms and everything, you know. I thought it was going to check if the actual URL was giving a response, but it doesn't matter. This is actually quite simple, but it's satisfactory. So I'm going to copy that. And I'm going to head into site security. MNOPQR. So let's go to TronGate security. I'll head right here. Little indentation for the nation. We do of course prefer camel case. Is valid URL. There it is right there. I can even chuck in a wee underscore, and there it is. So shall we dance? Shall we dance? Oh yes we shall. We're going to say this module TronGate security. Then we're going to say validation errors is going to be an empty array, and we're going to say valid URL is this we're calling upon TronGate Security and we're saying, is this a valid website URL? Like so. Now, if valid URL does not equal true, I'm going to say validation errors, and I'm going to put in a key equal to the ID of this here. So if we look at this element here, you'll see that it's got an ID of website URL. So I'm going to go like this, and I'm going to say the website URL that you submitted is not valid. And look at the beautiful error message. Pretty cool, pretty cool. So that's our valid URL check. I think it's looking kind of good. There you go. I'll just write in, is the website URL valid? Okay, the next thing we're going to check is the website name. So is the website name valid? Now how on earth do we do that? Well, I'll just trim this down, and then I'm going to say website name is trim website name. Just get rid of some white space. Now let's just say that the name length is string length website name, and let's just say if the name length is less than 2, well, in that case, we're going to be taking this little beauty here. We're going to be saying website name. The website name, you did not submit a valid website name. You did not submit a valid website name. I suppose I could say the same here. You did not. Oh, jeez. Well, actually, let's try something else. Let's just say that the website URL is trim website URL, and if the website URL is empty, then we'll go like this. You did not submit a website URL. Then we'll do an else. Chuck this in. There you go. So now we're checking the name. You did not submit a valid website name. I think that's good. Now we're going to look at the folder IDs. There's really nothing that can go wrong there because the folder ID is an integer, so we can skip that one. With the username, it's exactly the same vibe here. So I'm just going to say is the username valid? So again, we're going to say username is that. I'll call this one username length. If the username length is less than 2, well, actually, let's just say if the username length is empty, then you did not submit a username. Perfect. Moving along, we've got the site password, and then we've got the notes. So for the site password, going to do exactly the same type of thing. We're going to just go like this. Is the password valid? And again, I'll just say password length is string length password. If the password length is empty, then the password is you did not submit a password, and there you go. Now, the very last one is notes. And what I think I'm going to do with the notes is I'm going to get a max length on the notes, you know. Now, if we have a look here, I'm going to search for max. Do we have a max length anywhere? Anything at all? We actually, oh, here we go. So you can see that we've got this length of 800. So I'm going to do that. So let's go to, actually, let's head into config. Like this. I'll define notes max length is 800. Alright, now back over here. We've done our password thing. So now I'm going to say notes is trim notes. We're talking about the notes here. Now if the notes is empty, then the validation errors, actually they can be empty. So what we want to do then is say notes length is the string length of the notes. And if the notes length is greater than 800, then our validation errors for notes is going to be the notes cannot be any greater than, and in here we'll just chuck in max notes length. We are reading the max notes length from here, or notes, max notes length, there you go. Okay, so copy that, and then we'll head over to here. There it is, and there it is. Perfect. So there's our validation errors for that. So now what we're going to do is we're going to say num validation errors is count validation errors, and if the number of validation errors is greater than 0, we're going to put out an HTTP response code. So I'm heading over to the Tongate website here. Into the docs. I'm going to search for HTTP response. Alright, here we go. So we've got a whole bunch of stuff. Bad request, unauthorized payment, forbidden, not found, method not allowed, not acceptable. That might be good. 406, 412 maybe. Let's ask the employee of the month, what is an appropriate HTTP response code for when there is a form validation error? Bad request. So that would be 400. So we're going to say HTTP response code 400, and then we're going to echo JSON encode validation errors with a die statement. So what that means is that when we submit one of these forms now, if we go like this, the hell? Okay, so what I want to do then is switch off the validation records here. So Okay, that's good. So we're running submit form, and with submit form, I'm going to say console.log sending to, now let's console.log the target URL. Then I'm going to console.log this stuff here. Then I'll just say return. So this should hopefully give us something quite meaningful. If we just go like that. Okay, so I'm a wee bit concerned with the way that it's still giving us these validation errors. I really don't want them. So annoying. So let me find how to switch that off. I've got to figure out some way of switching off the validation errors. I'll just say return. Try again. So the name of the game is just figuring out how to switch this off. Ah, now that's saying values is read form values. Now let's look at read form values. So as you can see, we're going to have to do a something that removes the validation error checks from this. So let's just temporarily do that. So we've got a thing called params. So we'll do that. And then we will do something like that. Okay. So hopefully, jeez. That's quite irritating, isn't it? Let's get our employee of the month on this. All right. Oh. All right. hope it doesn't time out on me here. Come on, don't time out. Don't time out. Good. So let's copy that. Now, here's read form values. And this is read form values without validation errors. Okay, here we go. So when we refresh, if we submit, that is pretty cool. So let's now look at whatever had called this. So let's just console.log json.stringify values. So if we go like that, okay, you can see our values there, they're all looking fine. And that is going to call submit form. Now submit form lives here. You can see that we're just saying return. So what we're doing here then is we're going to go like this. Then we submit. Now you can see that that says bad request. But I think we need a bit more than that. So you can see that we did send it. And if there's a 200 response, we do a bunch of stuff. But if there's not a 200 response, I'm going to console.log error vibe. I'm going to console.log the HTTP status. And I'm going to console.log the HTTP response text. It's a shame that JavaScript takes so long, innit, man? I have not figured out a way of doing this. But you can see that this is saying website URL, you did not submit that, and then you did not submit a valid website name. It should have done a bit more than that though. I'm slightly concerned about that. If we take a little trip to the best JSON viewer, paste in. Okay, so we've got website URL, website name. Now, one of the challenges here is our validation errors. And you can see the error right there. We have to change these keys. So it's website URL, website name. This is username. Here's our password. Validation errors notes. Okay, so let's try this. We're going to hit submit. So you can see we're saying website. Ah, friggin' hell, man. Alright, so for some reason it's saying 2. And it's only picking up errors on a couple of things. It's only picking up errors on the website URL and the website name. So that's kind of weird, you know? So let me just var dump username. Ah, it's if username is that. Of course. So that will get the username fixed. We've got 3 of them now. Next we've got our password here. So if we go like this, you can see that we've now got 4. That's 1, 2, 3, 4. Now I'm going to say if the notes is greater than... Let's just assume that the max length here is 8. So if we go like this, and like this, you can see it says 4, right? But if we do this again, and now I'm going to put in a big old string, and now it says 5. That's perfect. I'll keep that on 8 for the moment. I'm going to go back here now. And now we should be producing a meaningful bunch of validation errors here. So the question then is, well, how do we display those validation errors on the page? You can see that we've got read form values here, and we've got these params going on, you know. Now, what is it that calls read form values? I'd like to know. Oh, look at this. Add validation error. Input error message. So let's do that. So I'm going to go back to this part here, and I'm going to just say const validation errors is json.parse http response text. Then I'm going to say for. I'm going to loop through the validation errors. Now, with the validation errors, the goal is to add in a validation error. In order to do that, we need to get an element ID. So I'm going to say const element ID is validations I, and it's actually just I. And in terms of the error message, I'll say error message equals, and it's going to be, I think that. So if we now save and refresh and then go like this, so I'll chuck in element ID and error message. Let's do this again. Damn. Okay, so let's console.log validation errors.length. There's something wrong with this. Ah, you know what? I'm such a friggin' idiot. I'm at the wrong thing. It's here. Alright. Okay, so I'm seeing these keys and I'm seeing these values, you know. So let's just say that for each validation errors, blah 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 blah, I am going to console.log a little gotcha. Okay. How do we parse the following string and then loop through each value console.logging both the key and the value of each element? So there was the problem. It was coming out as an object. So that's pretty darn cool, right? So let's do that then. So we're saying let, now I'll call it errors object is json.parse http response text. Then for each and every one of them, we've got the key and then we've got the value. So I'm going to just say add validation error, and I'm going to pass in the key and I'm going to pass in the value. So if we refresh, I'm submitting, and look at that, isn't it fantastic? So now if we look at our other add validation error example, you should see that we also do this, where we add in a validation error. So this is us, add validation error message, but now we're going to add the validation error thing onto the class list. So let's get the form element. I'm going to say const form element is document dot. Now, that's going to be document dot get element by ID, passing in the key. Then I'm going to say form element dot class list dot add. There you go. So now, when we go like this and we submit, hallelujah, and don't it make you feel good? So this is what we're looking at here is server-side validation, you know. But of course, wouldn't it be nice if we had our form behaving again? Phone of mine is making funny noises here. I have all these bullshit Facebook notifications. I don't even want to be on Facebook, you know. But when I added in the API integration, I had to create an account, and I keep getting these stupid ass messages, you know. Like, such and such wants to be your friend and all of that, you know. Well, it's not even like that. They don't even know me. It's like, there's another one. Did you hear it? This is Facebook and it's non-stop. I might have to get rid of it, because I really don't want any dealings with Facebook. I'd say I'm getting about 20 messages a day. Just wee stupid notifications with some random. Alright. So, in any event, when we hit this, we go to submit form, right? Now, submit form lives here. Here is submit form. And you can see that we show the spinner. It looks like we hide the cancel buttons. We hide the close window buttons. And then we get onto the business of submitting the actual form. So what we're going to do is we'll copy this stuff here. We'll go to custom.js. And then we'll call it function. Let's call it reactivate modal. And it's going to do the opposite of this. So the first thing that we're going to do then is when we refresh here, we want to get rid of this spinner. So the spinner in our HTML is going to become save. Disabled is going to become false. Then we're going to show the cancel buttons. So we do all of that. Now, if you look at the display button here, you will see that it has got a display type of inline block. So we say for all of these buttons here that the display is inline blocked. Then we're going to show the close window buttons. So that's talking about this button here. If I inspect, there it is. And again, you can see that the display is inline block here. So that's inline block. There you go. So when we get those errors and we run with our error vibe thing, we are going to reactivate the form and show the error messages. So check it out. We're going to go like this. We're going to hit save. It's doing its... you miserable shithound. Submit button is not defined. Well, fair enough. So let's just do that then. So the const submit button is document. Now, maybe I should just make sure I'm doing this right. Here it is here. Perfect. So here we go. We're going to hit save. There you go. And it went right back to life really quickly. Perfect. And the nice thing about this is if I fill out the form fields and then submit, everything is cool. Alright, so that is our server-side validation now sorted out. Oh, and by the way, if we make this more than 8 characters, there you go. The notes cannot be any 8 characters in length. Here we go. There it is. Isn't that awesome? Now, it's really, really great. So, I feel quite good about that. And now that we've done that, I'm going to get add all. I'm going to get commit m validation errors now working, and then I'm going to get nothing. That's server side validation errors it's referring to. Okay. So, okay, I'm going to go to the thing that says good, and then we'll go like this. Now this one here, I'll just call it read form values dev. It's not in use, but maybe I'll even just copy it. Take it out of here. And then chuck it inside our dev.js thing. So what this all means is that our original form validation should interesting. So what happened there is it submitted to the URL even though we had validation errors. So clearly that's no right. So let's have a little look at whatever calls read form values. Here we are. Now that's save item. So obviously we want to take this save item, bring that one back into the picture. We're going to refresh. Now we're going to hit submit. There you go. So that's server-side validation right there. So there's our server-side validation. Now I'm going to just go like this, 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 and this. Hit save. Okay. And there it is. Pretty cool. So here's our delete. Here's our delete. Very nice. Now I'm going to go into the website passwords, head downstairs, and where it says dev auto open form alt, I'm going to take that out. So now we have truly got our validation errors working. just to demonstrate adding a record again. So here's a record being... you know what? Okay, so here we go. We're going to add a record. There it is. You can see we've got some nice flash data upstairs. Now I'm going to delete the record. And there it is. Oh, by the way, I should have added flash data for deleting the record as well. So let's do that. So if we go back to this little beauty here, do we have flash data mentioned anywhere? Okay, so you can see that we do have that. So what I'm going to do then is copy. When we delete a record, you can see that it removes the target card. So I'm going to just go like that, and I'm going to say the website record was successfully deleted. There it is. So now what this means is that when the page loads, we can add in a new record. You see we've got flash data, right? Now keep your eye on the top of this screen, because when I hit delete and go like that, flash data appears again. Ah, damn, I don't like it. I don't like the way that that appears. I thought it was going to... Yeah, so there it rolled in from the top, you know. So let's see if we can figure that one out. I mean, if I just go like this and then say this, there you go, it's rolling in from the top and then back. Rolling in from the top. See, why is it doing that? I suppose it's not mission critical, right? Damn it. Right, let me look at open flash data. It probably lives on here. Okay. So it looks like we've got a div with a class of flash data. Let's find this div. It looks like it might just be in custom.css. And you can see that the top is at minus 3.6 m. So when we come to doing this and then we close the flash data, just before we remove it, I'm going to say flash data div dot style dot top equals that. Then we're going to refresh, and now this should be perfect. So it's rolling in from the top. Here it comes. You miserable shit hound. Let's try it again. Nah, it's no good. Okay, so let's do open flash data. Here we go. Now that never quite worked. Let's try again. Damn. Okay, here we go again. Alright, now let's delete some records. There you go. That's what we're looking for. I think it jumped there. Alright, well, it's no perfect, but I think it's acceptable. Alright, pretty cool, pretty cool. Now, should we chuck this in? Is that going to break it? That is going to break it. Okay, cool. Alright, well, I'm pretty happy with that, you know. Now I'm going to get rid of some console.logs. Good. Alright, close enough, close enough. And hello to Mario. It's nice to see you, Mario. Welcome, welcome indeed to you. I hope everything's doing okay. Is it a good day? Well, let's find out if it's a good day. It's an okay day. We've had 1 star, but I think we can do a whole lot better than that, you know? Anyway, I hope you're doing okay. Very good to see you, and you're so welcome. As you can see, we're building a LastPass clone here, and that is get add all, get commit Okay, cool. So, how on earth are we going to do this? Thank you, man. I appreciate that. So there's basically, I mean, maybe you can give me some advice here. As far as this app goes, let's look at the grand to do here. So we've got the pictures working. We do not, well, we've got the inserts working just about properly. We've still got to do the updates. We've got the deletes working. They're pretty good. So what I think I'll do is these 2 things. So what this means is that we add in some security so that we really do have to be logged in and so on for that to work. And then once I've done that, I can get the update IDs, or the updates working properly. Now when I get to that stage, if, holy moly, who on earth sent that in? Somebody, identify yourself. I just wanted to say thanks for keeping me motivated in software dev when I wanted to quit because I was sick of rewrite culture. You kept me motivated. Just knowing I wasn't the only one that hated where this industry's going. Thank you. Well, thank you. Please, identify yourself. I can only see a little smiley face here. And I don't know for sure who it is. But with an incredible $50 donation, thank you so much. I really, really, really appreciate that. Holy moly. I have to tell you, I did not expect that. And it comes at a time when I could actually do with it, you know. So thank you so much for that. Jeez, oh. Well, I'm somewhat overwhelmed here. Thanks, man. Or woman. Thank you. Thank you. I wish I knew who it was. I can't see a name here. I mean, I can see exactly what you can see, you know. Well, add moderator. Can we do that? There you go. You're a channel moderator. Thank you. Have a good day. Ah, well, that's the name. Have a good day. I've got you. Well, thank you so much. Have a good day. And let me tell you something. I'm having more than a good day. I'm having a great day. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. I'm going to send some positive things to the universe. And it's done. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Well, isn't that just great? See? And it just goes to show that you don't need a big audience to have a successful channel. Alright. I feel really great about that. Thank you, thank you, thank you. That's so cool. Are you new here? I mean, it's kind of a new name. I wonder. Anyway, who knows? That's really, really cool. Okay, so thank you so much. You can consider yourself a show producer, at least for the day. Thanks so much. I really appreciate it. Alright, so as I was saying a second ago, it's kind of a visualization game, isn't it? We have to just imagine that stuff works. So just imagine that update works. Just imagine that delete works and all of that stuff. And then, by the way, have a good day. If you want to add me on Skype, it's david.webguy on Skype. David, all lowercase, .webguy. And I'll be glad to give you a wee phone call after this and thank you in person, you know. Please do add me on Skype. In any event, if you imagine ahead and imagine a situation where we're now adding records, we're now able to delete records, we're now able to update records, and all of the authorization is cool, at least in a basic kind of a way, right? So that's going to leave us with a few options. One option is that we just plow ahead and get the notes and addresses and payment cards and bank accounts all working. We could do that, and we could actually do that in one sitting. Another option is that we work on the Your Account page and we get that looking beautiful. Now let me write these things down. So when this is done, just to clarify, our options are do the other item types. Next option is update the account details. I might even add a close account thing in there, possibly even download. No, it's too dangerous. Let's just do that, right? And then at some point we're going to have to do the security. Now I'm going to have a wee vote in the room here. And I shall respect the result of the vote. Maybe. But the question is, should I make this open source? Yes or no? That's the question. I wonder what you would do if it was you. Let's see what you have to say. Let's see what you have to say. All right, well, we have a unanimous verdict. I'm calling that a landslide. And you are saying that I should make this open source. Okay, let me ask my next question then. My next question, and I think I have to end that poll. The next question is, why? Why should it be open source? Is it A, because you want to take the code and launch your own? I can't fit it in. Is it B, it'll give users peace of mind? Or is it C, something else? And please do leave a comment. Help me out. Help me out. Let me know what you think. I do appreciate it. Now, I'm very tempted to head out and buy a bar of chocolate or something. I haven't ate too much today, you know. But, I don't know. Maybe I'll just do another hour. It's coming up for 8 p.m. here in the UK. I wonder what time it is where you are. Let's have a wee look here. Something else. We have a comment. Hopefully. But you're saying that it will give users peace of mind, and that's really great to know. That's exactly the information that I want to know, actually. So, that's cool. You should use it to promote TronGate as a framework. Well, Mario, thank you for saying that. Okay. Would you like the rant of the day? I think it's time for the rant of the day, ladies and gentlemen, don't you? Okay, I should get a big thing on the screen called Rant of the Day. So here's your rant of the day, right? And I'll write it on the screen just to be really patronising. And I'm really glad you raised that. I had somebody over today, and I don't know if he's watching or not. Hello if you are. I mean, literally in my house. It's true. People who watch the live stream have been known to pass by. And I had one today, came up all the way from England. I don't know if he's watching or not. But and it's the godfather of speed coding. Simon is here. How are you doing? It's very nice to see you. So let me give you my rant of the day. And this is what I was saying to the person who showed up, right? The thing about IT is everybody is in it for the money. And there's nothing wrong with that. I'm in it for the money. Simon's in it for the money. Mario. Everybody. Okay? And that's fine. I'm a capitalist. I'm okay with it. I feel fine, right? But the trouble is, I'll be really patronising. The trouble is that there's two types of businesses. The first one is a business that is transparent. And then there's another type of business model that is sneaky, underhand bullshit. Those are the two types of business models. And remember, folks, everybody is in it for the money, especially me, right? Now let's consider the language Swift, okay, by Apple. Anybody watching this can head online. We can say Learn Swift. We get all sorts of resources from Apple. They give us the language for free. They look after it. They give us all of this stuff for free. And the question is why? How do they make the money? Well, thank you. Have a good day's in it for the money. We respect that. We respect that. Thank you. I love a bit of brutal-faced honesty. I'm definitely in it for the money. So if you think about Swift, right? How does Swift, or how does the makers of Swift get this? How do they do it? Because they're giving us all of this stuff for free. The answer is very, very straightforward. They want you to build apps. They want you to put the apps on the App Store. Then they want to take a percent commission. Now, you and I can argue about the percent being too high or too low, but the fact of the matter is that this is an example of a fully transparent business model. We can look this information up online. It's no secret what they're doing. I mean, that's a legitimate business. 3 cheers for Apple. And this means that Apple are highly motivated to give a programming language that's stable, easy to learn, and all of that stuff. Maybe I've just given a good case for learning Swift, right? Now, let's contrast that with a different type of business model. Take, for example, and I'm going to make myself really popular here, but take, for example, Laravel certification. I'm going to head to the search engine. I'm going to go like this. Let's just grab a Laravel certificate, okay? Let's see. How about this one right here, okay? Now, I'm not having a go at any particular person. Congratulations to anybody who passed the exam. But tell me, what font's the biggest font on this certificate? I mean, if you count certainly font weight, what's the biggest font on the certificate here? Anybody? Well, the answer's right in front of you. The biggest font is the bit on the left that says the date, the 2018. Look how bold it is and how big it is, right? That means that Laravel certification, if we consider Laravel certification, Laravel and Symfony, we could even say, and what's the other one called again? LastPass. All of those have a real financial incentive to break their own frameworks frequently. If they have stable frameworks that work for years and years and years and years and don't break, they're going to stop earning as much as they would otherwise earn. This is why they're attaching such a huge amount of weight onto the date, because this certificate is going to lose value. Do you think in 10 years' time, if somebody says, I've got Laravel 2018, do you think anybody's going to be getting gigs because of that? No, there's going to be an exercise in self-deprecation. So this bullshit certification only has value for a limited period of time. And in the case of Symfony, it's even worse. They could not wait to rewrite their stuff. They could not wait when, for example, PHP introduced typesetting. So they're like, right, rewrite the whole thing. And they know that every time they break their own framework, every time they rewrite everything, it gives them an excuse to sell more certification. Here's what you need to know, ladies and gentlemen. And I said it today to my special guest. PHP is at a fork in the road. It can either go one road where it's like C and C++ and Python and Golang, like that. So kind of like a stable performant language. PHP could go that way. Or it could go the way of Node.js, which I believe is on version 18 last time I checked. Angular, and all of that frequently rewritten bullshit. It's a fork in the road. Now, the reason why I'm personally not into it becoming like NPM is because if you go to, let's say we head over to Google News and search for NPM, look at the amount of bullshit. I never prepared this. Ransomware, NPM, what else we got? Supply chain attacks, another supply chain attack. And this goes on. This is actually a nice week. Congratulations, NPM. But there's always nightmares with NPM and security. And I don't want this happening to PHP. I want stability. I want PHP to be like the people on the left here, or the things on the left, let's say. I don't want this bullshit here. You know what I mean? So everybody's in it for the money. And the question is, how are you in it for the money? In the case of this app here, I asked the room, do you think I should make it open source? And I think just about everybody said okay. That's fine. I'll make it open source and I'll still make large piles of cash. How do you make large piles of cash from something like this? Anybody? I'm being patronizing. The answer is, just like somebody in the room said, you make large piles of cash by being perfectly transparent with people and saying to them, look, I'm giving you this thing for free. May I send you one email per quarter? Is that okay? You know? And can you imagine if you had a mailing list? I mean, I know the power of mailing lists, you know? So there's a gazillion ways of turning assets into legitimate cash, and there's nothing wrong with it. There's nothing unethical about it. Everybody's in it for the money. And the only thing that becomes a bit of a problem is when people are in it for the money, but with sneaky bullshit, you know? Where they start just rewriting stuff and forming committees and certification and their $1,000 a head conferences and all of that crap, you know? And the guy who was up today, I don't know if he's watching, he was a Delphi developer and a very successful Delphi developer. And I said, you know, the coolest dude in the industry is the person who just learns something, even old school, and just gets off of this friggin' merry-go-round and says, I'm going to just do this. I've had it with all the rewrites, you know. So that's my rant of the day. Thank you very much for putting up with that. I'll go back to normal here. Anyway, have a good day says, when I got my new job, paying well in dev, I told myself I needed to pass some money to you for keeping me motivated. Thank you so much, man. I appreciate that. That's have a good day there. Says, just need to get my bill caught up before I could. Well, I really, really appreciate that. I'm gonna tell you something that maybe I should not say, but without giving too much away and without being too ungraceful, one of the worst things you can do for your standard of living is build a framework. I mean, everybody's a bloody victim, right? I might as well become a victim myself. It's not a great way of earning a living, you know, especially if it takes a long time. And somebody had got in touch and who was over today from England with a chance of doing a project together. And if this had gone ahead, I would have been probably in a position where I would not have to worry about finances, certainly till the end of the year. And he was a cool guy, and he is a cool guy and everything, but let's just say that the energy wasn't quite right, and we had some very respectful, there's nothing wrong with this, but respectful things where we had differences of opinion in terms of the way that things could be and stuff. And so very gracefully, I wished him the best of luck. I continue to wish him the best of luck, but I basically said no thanks, you know. So now, instead of looking at a big old pile of cash, now I'm looking at a rent bill and I'm saying, oh shit, you know. So I'm going to have to probably get in touch with some agencies or do something. I don't know what. But you know something, folks? I kind of like it in a strange way. I've become a real master of poverty. Like a grand master, you know? I'm good at this. So it's okay. I'll be just fine, you know? But in any event, it just goes to show that the universe provides, and there's Have a Good Day shows up. Thank you so much once again. All right, shall we code? Now, folks, the rule of the year this year, there's different themes, you know, different themes each year. In today's year, the theme is, when we start something, we finish it. This is the standard. This is the standard. When we start something, we finish it. That's the way it's going to be. I'm going to do the last 45 minutes here. And I am going to nail this. I won't finish the whole damn thing, of course I won't. But I am going to do this stuff here, okay? So let's get this happening. Oh, have a good day. Gifted 10 David Connolly memberships. Holy moly. I don't even know how this all works. But can you believe it? It's a fantastic thing. Thank you so much, man. This is quite overwhelming. I'm going to have to, I don't know, go for a walk or something. Thank you so much. That is absolutely incredible. So we have memberships and everything, don't you know? It's a shame I don't have 10 people in here. But there you go. So Jim, thank you so much for that. Oh geez, it completely does. And I wasn't saying that looking for a sympathy story. I'm fine. I love it. I'm okay. I'm not a victim. The universe does not need a victim. But please give me your details on Skype, because I'd like to phone you up and thank you in person. Thank you so much. Oh man, I feel great. I feel great. So, in any event, Jim McDonald, who is another force for good here, says, why not accept the project and outsource it if it's not a good fit? I'll tell you the answer quite honestly, because there's no shame in it. It's not that I have a problem with outsourcing, but the reason why is because my life is perfect. My life is... I mean, there's a few people who have gone and one or two friends we've lost and all of that. But in terms of the lifestyle I've got, this is perfect. I love it. I wake up and I code and everything like that. After this, I'm going to be going a nice long walk, watching a movie later on tonight. This is a fairy tale life for me. Fairy tale. The minute I go into a partnership with somebody, especially if it's a partnership where, you know, potentially quite a lot of money's passing hands and somebody's effectively saying, here you go. At that minute, I'm not really my own man. At that minute, I kind of have obligations beyond myself. And at that minute, my glorious lifestyle changes. Now, there's nothing wrong with that, and it might even be a good thing. But there's value in being my own man, you know? I get to do rants on YouTube. I get to come and code here every day. Get to waste time building things that may or may not even work. But I love this. I mean, I have a fairy tale life. It's perfect in every way. And so, that's the reason why, Jim. Now, I'll probably have to do some agency gig or something like that for a few months. But at least if that happens, I can do my agency gig or who knows what. Do that for however many hours a day it is and then forget about it. With a partnership, it's different. It's real obligations, middle of the night stuff. So I would have to think about that quite carefully, you know. Anyway, I hope that makes some sense. Alright, well, anyway, there you go. Right, shall we move on? Okay, so let's do this. So I'm going to try and get this member ID thing working properly, right? The first thing I'll do is I'll just focus on bog standard security first of all. So let's do that. I'm going to have all the Laravel developers coming after me again. They cannot stand me. Alright. So this is saying members log out. Now let's just test it, shall we? We'll do that. We'll say log out. And I'm going to try and go back in. Excellent. So we are logged out. Jim says that makes sense. Just saying that because you have my loyal membership here. Can hand off the project and take a referral fee. Great deal. Love the videos. Do you know, I'll tell you something, right? And I don't want to give it too much energy. But somebody very close to my inner circle has suffered enormously since the vaccines were dished out. That's all. Oh jeez. And with an I have it. This is the have a good day stream. Thank you, man. I appreciate that. With an astonishing $20 super chat. Have a good day. Says take a nice walk and have dinner on me. God bless you. Thanks so much. Jeez, this is starting to really get overwhelming. Man, it's like the secret millionaire. Well, thank you so much. As I was saying, man, that's really mind-blowing. Thank you. So anyway, I do know somebody who, in my inner circle, who has suffered post-vaccine. Now, I don't know what's going on. I really don't. But all I can tell you is that out of nowhere, somebody who was very healthy has now got some heart issues. And I don't want to start using words like it's serious. I don't want to give it that much energy. But let's just say it appeared out of nowhere. Now, I don't know what's going on. I don't have any conspiracy theory and I don't have any insider information. However, based on what I've now observed, I would now personally think twice about accepting probably any vaccine. I would think twice. But that's me personally. I'm not saying you should or anything like that. But I'm having wee bleeps here from my phone. Yeah, I'm on. Anyway, yeah, I would have second thoughts. But then when all of this stuff was kicking off, I was looking around and I was saying, right, I don't know what's going on. And I looked at all of the evidence and I looked up documentaries about smallpox. I have no clue what's going on, but I looked at all of the evidence. And I have a friend who's a pretty smart guy. He used to be a maths teacher. And he was like, I don't know whether to take this vaccine or not. He says, I'm not going to take it. I'm not going to take it. And I said, look at the logic. Blah, 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 blah. Look at the mathematics. The law of averages. We should do this. And I talked him into taking it. And I actually regret that. I should have just kept quiet and said, figure it out. Now, the big takeaway from the whole thing, and I did take this away from it, and I've spoken to him since, and he's taken it away from it. The big takeaway from the last few years is trust your gut instinct. And if you trust your gut instinct and you get bad results, figure out how that feels. Holy moly, we have another with an astonishing. I actually have a job. Yeah, I might pay the rent. With an astonishing €50 donation. He says, I'll pay for the dessert. Thank you, Stefan Hummel. Thank you. I appreciate that. And what a beautiful dog there. Looks like a collie. Thank you so much, man. In any event, oh, geez, I can't even remember what I was saying. Yeah, I'm going to have to give you a phone call as well, actually. Send me a message on Skype. We'll arrange that, hopefully sometime between now and Tuesday. Wow. Anyway, the big old takeaway from all of this madness that we've been through for me is I want to trust my gut instinct. And if my gut instinct is wrong, I want to figure out how did it feel? How did it feel when I got it wrong? And I want to modify and continue trusting my gut instinct. My gut instinct is everything. It's the beginning, middle, and end. And the point is, if something does not feel right, that's it. I don't need anything else. And I'm not even going to, analyze it or anything. If something just doesn't quite feel right, then that's it. And this just did not feel entirely right, at least to me. And you know the funny thing? I don't even think in terms of, I could have passed it on to somebody else. No, because it wouldn't feel right it wouldn't be right for them either, you know? And that's my vibe. And if something doesn't feel right, I'm not going to do it. You know what I mean? And that was it. Yep. So that's my whole takeaway from the past 3 years. I'm not giving anybody any medical advice or anything like that. All I'm saying is, I'm trusting my gut instinct all the way. I could have been in a position where I wouldn't have to work probably for the rest of the year, possibly ever, but it never felt right, and that's fine. I'll take my chance, you know. But like I say, I've become really, really good at being, let's say, financially, challenged a wee bit. I mean, I'm really, really good at it, folks, I'm a grandmaster. And I figured, well, I've pretty much figured this stuff out. I'm alright at it. I mean, do you know when the electricity bills come in, they pay me. When I get an electricity bill, they pay me. That's how low my bills are, I found a way. And for a while I had the guy from the gas company coming up every week. Some of you who are on the live stream, you heard that. You heard this. The door would go and be like, oh, there's the gas guy. And they were trying to catch me out because they were like, how come this guy's no using hardly any gas? And I found a way. I told the guy, I says, look, I found a system. Here it is. And they never believed it, and they kept on coming back, So it's amazing how you find these wee solutions for things, It's kind of cool. Do any of you know Laurel and Hardy at all? I'm sure you do. Well, Stan Laurel, right, here he is. Probably my favourite comedian of all time. He lived just round the corner from here. And his former, well, it's actually just a flat, for all of you American folks, apartments. And he, if this was back in 19, I don't know, 15 or whatever. We would have been neighbours. And so I'm in the same type of building as Stan Laurel, you know. So these are old buildings here. This place I'm in is about 110 years old. And it's cool. I like it. I like it here. Alright. I've lost my windows. Where are you? Where are you? Here we are. Thank you very much indeed. We are back. We are here. We are clear. And we are ready to go. Alright. So, what we're going to do now then. Have a good day. Says, I found the secret to free energy. David found the secret to free energy is his free time after keeping PHP alive single-handedly. Well, don't you just love the sentiment? But let's not kid ourselves. This is no one-man show. I mean, never in a minute think that the Trongate framework is just me. No chance, you know. There's certainly others on board, and many of them are here and have been here since the whole day one, you know. But thank you very much for that. What a great vibe we have today. Isn't it incredible? What a great vibe we are having today. And where else would you rather be? Alright, so anyway, shall we dance? Shall we dance? Oh yes, we shall. So as you can see, folks, I had the token authorization working for this. Now I'm going to secure these endpoints. Let me just show you. So do you see how when I submit something and it does that? Isn't it beautiful, by the way? Yes, it is. So now I'm going to secure these endpoints and I'll show you how that works. So the first thing that we want to do, keeping in mind that it's not really a PHP app. There's going to be a lot of Chrome extensions and whatnot. So the very first thing that we want to do is get our token here. Do you see it? So when that happens, you can see that we've got a member object here. Now what do we do with the member object? We fetch some items. Okay, fair enough. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to say data token equals token. Now if I echo the token with a little die statement, you're going to find that we get something like this, right? So we're going to take this token and then we're going to pass it into our view file. So that is into this view file here. So here's our view file, right? And we know that a token has been passed in. So I'm going to say script, and then I'm going to say const token equals, and we're going to echo the token. Just to prove that we really do have the token, we can do an alert. And so if we refresh, you can see that I've got a wee token here, right? So what we're going to do now then, is we're going to find the different points where these HTTP requests happen. And the way we do this, there's a few different bits and pieces, but let's open the inspector. I have my patronizing tutorial voice on, by the way. Open the inspector. Anyway, you click on network here, right? Network. And we're going to make sure that we've got this fetch thing on. Fetch, right? Now, right around here, you can see that this is calling API get website records. Can you see? API get website records. So somewhere this is being called. Let's find out where by doing a site-wide search. Let's just do this. And there it is right there. There it is right there. Oh, hallelujah. So what we're going to do is, you can see that we're doing a request, right? But now we're going to add on our token, and we're going to add it onto the header. So if we, for example, let me just see here. I'm looking for an example. I think it's, here it is. Here's the one. There you go. So do you see how we're now attaching a TronGate token? Hello, wee Coco. Hello, wee Coco. Come on in here. Come on in here. Nice to see you. Yay! How you doing, wee Coco? It's nice to see you. We have a visitor. Thank you very much, Coco. Very nice to see you. All right, folks. So as I was saying, we are adding a token. Now, if we have a look and we refresh, check this out. You can see that this thing's still here, but this time, if you look carefully, where's our headers? Can anybody see a TronGate token? Ah, there it is. See how it now says TronGate token? So, we are now passing a token across to this thing. Now, another thing that we can look at is, well, let's have a look here. Okay. So when we look at our endpoint, and once again the endpoint is API get website records, we can go into assets API.json, and you see where it says authorization all. Well, now we're going to change that so that the authorization is for users who happen to be members. That's the authorization that we're interested in. Fair enough? So let's do that. Now, the way that we do this, the authorization thing, I'll just show you a little example. That's how you do role-based authorization. So if I go in here, geez, where on earth is it here? Yeah, if we go in here for website records, now we know that we're doing this API get website records thing, right? There it is there. So we're going to just chuck in this authorization. And now I'm saying that the roles is admin, but let me just change it. I'll add in some X's, right? I'm going to save. And what I've now done is I've said, look, I'm only letting you fetch the records if you are this role here. Watch what happens. We're going to refresh. And as you can see, the page is empty. And as a matter of fact, we've got a 401 error. So what I'm going to do now then is, let's go back to this thing. And you see how it says if errors 200 draw the grid? Now we're going to say else window dot location dot href equals, and we're going to go to the base URL members. I can't remember the name of it. Is it sign out? I think it's sign out. It's either sign out or log out. It's log out. There you go. And I'm going to save it, right? So now watch what happens when we refresh the page. See that? So we have just secured the endpoint. Now, of course, what we really want to do is say roles is member. And then we're going to head to TronGate security. And you can see here, actually we don't even need to look at this. This is now going to make sure that this user is a member. So if I log back in, I'll go back to passwords. Now you can see that it's working perfectly. And it's working perfectly because we are a member. Pretty cool, right? Pretty cool. Now, the next thing that we're going to do is, if you look at our records here, all of these records are attached to a member who happens to have an ID of 1. Let's try an experiment. We're going to say, update website records let's say set member ID equals, I'll just say 7, where ID is greater than 2. So basically I'm messing it up here, right? So now there's only 2 records that belong to this person. But when we look at our page here, of course, there's going to be a challenge. And the challenge is that when we refresh, all of the records show up. Bit of a downer, don't you think? So what we have to do then is modify our query here that's coming into the API endpoint. So if we look at this API endpoint, you can see that we've got an after hook here called prep rows. That's going to prepare the rows. But in fact, what we really want to do is, if we go to the API Explorer here and go to this get thing. Okay, here we go. So I'm going to go like that, and we're going to say get where the member ID is something like 1. And if we submit that, member ID, oh jeez, it's members ID. Here we go. Ah ha ha ha. Okay. So this is giving us a slightly different URL this time. So now our URL is going to be API get website records. But then, do you know what? I've just realized something. It's going to have to be get by post. It's going to have to be API get website. Okay, fair enough. Right, so let's make it a post request, right? Let me think here. No, I'm not going to do get by post. I'm not going to do it. Tell you what we'll do. I'm all over the place here. Let me do a before hook. And I'll just say I'll call it pre-get, okay? Pre-get. So we'll go to website records. I'm really making this up as I go along here. Let's just say function pre-get hello. Okay, now 1 minute. Okay, so you can see that it says hello. Now, what I want to do, I think, is I'm going to get the token here. So if we just say, how do we get the token? Hold on a second. Okay, so the token is this here. So I'm going to say that the token is all of that stuff. And let's just var dump this token here. Okay, so here we go. We're going to say submit. And there we have a token, which is kind of cool. So what we're then going to do is, you know how if we don't have a token, it says 401 unauthorized invalid token. So we're going to say if the token is empty, then it's going to be HTTP response code 401, and it's going to be invalid token, a little die statement. But if we've got the token, we're going to attempt fetch the member ID from the token. So to do this, I'm going to do I think I'm going to do a table join. So here we go. I'll open up the query builder, and if you think about it, we've got TronGate tokens, then we've got our members table, then we've got our website records table. So the user ID here refers to this here. So we want probably an inner join here. And the website records refers to our members ID, like this. And again, that will be an inner join. Then I'm going to just say select all of that, show the SQL, copy it. How easy is this? So the SQL is that. Pretty cool, pretty cool. Now we're going to add in a little where, and we're going to say where TronGate tokens dot token equals, and we'll say something like that. Now let's go here, and we'll say params token equals token, and this query here is going to return some rows. In fact, we can even do an order by if you want. Maybe let's do that. Let's order by website name. Order by, so it's order by website records dot website name. Okay, pretty cool. So this thing is going to return some rows. We're going to say rows is actually, do you know what? Before we do that, can I just try something? I want to take an input thing here. Params member ID is 1. Right, give me a wee minute. Ah. Give me a second, will you? That's what I want to do. I just want to get the member ID. I am an idiot. Right, forgive me. I messed that up. So it's going to be this module members. Yeah, let's do that. Let's do that instead. I'm making it up as I go along. I'll say member object is this members get member object, passing in the token. Now if the member object is false, then it means we've got an invalid token again. But if it's not false, then we're going to say input params member ID equals member object loading up ID, and then I'm just going to return input. Alright, I don't know if this will work. I do not know if this will work, but I'll tell you how we find it. Oh, you miserable thing. Okay, let's think here. So if things go wrong, I'm going to just console.log http.status, then I'm going to console.log http.response text. It's funny because I'll be entirely honest, I'm figuring this out as I go along here. Alright, so member ID not a valid value or column name. Well, there you go. So it's members ID. There it is. It worked. It worked. It totally worked. So all we had to do was manipulate the input array and return it. So we're getting that from the token. So do you see what just happened? Just to show you what just happened, we have an API endpoint called get. We added in a before hook called pre-get. Then we added an after hook called prep rows that adds pictures and things. And all we did is we said at the pre-get, let's get the token, find out who the member ID is, then pass the member ID into the parameters. And now, look at this. It's just given us the stuff that belongs to the member. Pretty cool, right? And of course, if we are not logged in or whatever, it kicks us out. And we've seen that. So there you have it, folks. Not too bad. That's not too bad. How are you storing passwords? Is it using the zero trust model? I haven't done anything yet. I'm just storing them in plain text so far. So they're just plain text. But I've got some ideas for what I would like to do. And the main idea that I'm thinking about doing, I'll tell you it right now. The idea that I'm thinking about doing is the passwords are going to have these keys, you know, and then some kind of encryption algorithm. So what I'm thinking about doing is taking the key and sending one part of the key to one website or one API, another part to another website, and another part to a third website. Because remember when LastPass got hacked, everybody was saying it must have been a bad employee, but I think it could actually potentially be an evil web host. So we must assume that even the web hosts are dodgy. So the ultimate security vibe, in my opinion, is to put the keys in 3 entirely separate servers, whereby the hosts don't have any means of knowing who each other are, or they can't contact each other. And then I would have 3 separate encryption algos on each of these 3 different servers. And so if you think about your website, this would be able to talk to this, this would be able to talk to this, and this would be able to talk to this, but this could not talk to this, and this cannot talk to this. You get the idea, right? So that's what I'm thinking about doing. It's just a thought. Just a thought. Holy moly, look at the amount of cash I've got here. Thank you, folks. I really, really appreciate that. I might have to keep this one up just for the old self-esteem, you know. Thanks a lot. What a day. Anyway, that was that. Now let's continue with our vibe here. We've now secured the API endpoint for doing inserts. Pardon me, for fetching records. The next one that we're going to secure is the one for doing inserts, and here it is right here, okay? So if we go like this, keep an eye on the left hand side. There you go. Now have a look here. And you can see that this one is going to API create website records. So what we're going to do with this one is we'll copy this authorization thing here. We'll go to create. And the nice thing about this one is that we can just say authorization member, and that's fine. It's 100% fine. Of course, the only other thing is, well, what if they're not a member? What if they've logged out? So let's just kind of break it. We'll go like this, and I'm going to go like this. Now, do you see how it says invalid token? Let's now deal with that. So, if they try and fetch the records and they've got an invalid token, we're going to log them out. Here we've got submit form. And this is our error vibe. This is a 401 error. Now, give me just a wee second here. There's something I need to check. Right, let me go to this API get website records again. And I'll kind of break this, and we'll go like this. Now that's saying a 401 unauthorized, right? 401. Now we're going to go like this. I'm going to submit. And that's also saying a 401, which is a wee bit of a concern. So I wonder what happened there. I think it's because we never attached tokens. So let's copy this. Let's go look at where it says error vibe. And we're going to go right up here. Chuck on the token. Now this should be okay, hopefully. $401 unauthorized. Damn. Okay, so that's saying create website records 401 unauthorized. So here we are. We're going to create. Well, of course, I did that. Now, if we do authorize it and submit, that's cool. Now, that's going to the create thing, and it has a before hook of pre-insert actions. So if we go to pre-insert actions, you can see that it does a 400 error, which is different. So 401 means not authorized. Therefore, we're going to go back here. And right around here, we're going to say if http.status is equivalent to 401 if you're not authorized. Jeez, I've got the shortest memory ever. Right, there's a good wee reference here. So you can see it says 401 unauthorized and 400's a bad request. So if it's 401, then we're going to say window.location.href is base URL plus, then it's members logout. So what that means is that if somebody tries to add a record, let's say, and they're logged in, everything is fine. But if they try and add a record and they're not authorized, let's say they're not this user level, then what happens is when you hit submit, it does that and it logs them out. That is security for you. What a fabulous, fabulous system. Now, I'll do the update here. Pardon me, not update, deleting. Let's do delete records. So we can do that. There's a record added, right? And when we delete a record, keep an eye on the left here, because it's going to go to delete now. API delete website records. So that is the one that's called delete one. So we're going to do exactly the same vibe, and we're going to say authorization roles as member. But I think that there's an advanced authorization thing with this framework. I'm sure there is. So user ID, user owned segment authorization. Okay, give me a wee minute. Hello. I'm doing good, having a great day here. Everything's doing great, and I've had all donations and everything. Can you believe it? That's right. I had, it's an incredible thing. I can hardly believe it. But there is £102.65 come in. Isn't that incredible? Stefan, have a nice day. Yeah, they're all here. Have a good day. Yep. So thank you once again, folks. It's absolutely incredible, isn't it? So it's been good. It's been good. And how's your day been?
I just did a bit of shopping, a bit of work, and that was me.
Cool. That's cool. Well, listen, I was going to walk over in a wee while if you're okay with that.
Of course I am.
That's cool. So I'm going to just take another maybe 10-15 minutes here to wrap things up, and then I'll just feed Coco. So I'll probably be at yours. Oh, I don't know. I dare say I'll leave here at about 8:30. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Is that a bit on the late side?
Yeah.
Right.
I've got dinner in, unless you want something.
Well, I'll tell you what. Let me wrap things up here. Whatever happens, I'm going to need to just feed Coco and all of that anyway. So stay cool. Let me wrap up this live stream, and then I'll phone you as soon as I'm free, and we'll figure it out. Okay?
Okay, that's cool.
All right.
Okay.
Right, I shall contact you very soon. Stay cool. Talk to you in a wee bit.
Okay.
Right, cheers now. Bye.
Okay.
Bye. Alright, apologies for that, folks. Do I think it's cool that ChatGPT knows what Trongate is? Yeah, I heard it was saying that Trongate was made by Laravel or something like that. What can I ask it? What is the Trongate framework? I tried this a couple of times. A set of tools and libraries for building applications. It's open source, built on top of the CodeIgniter framework. Well, it's a wee bit more accurate, innit? It aims to provide developers with simple, lightweight features, modular design, but no, it hasn't got an ORM. It does not have an ORM, and it was not built on top of CodeIgniter. Yeah, there you go. Thank you. That's excellent. Your answer was perfect. We'll see if we can train it up. You're welcome. I'm glad that I could help you. That's really cool, isn't it? Right, let's move on. We're doing our little delete thing here, and what a great day it has been. Now, as I was doing with the documentation there's a thing called user-owned segment authorization. So let's assume that you've got a database that contains a column called Trongate user ID. Ah, right, it's not that. Right, we don't have that. So this is not applicable. But what we can do is we can pass in this roles of members thing here. And then we can do the following. We can say before hook is going to be pre-delete. So let's now head into website records. I'll just chuck it here. Pre-delete. Now this is going to take an input. I'm going to just echo Rambo for no apparent reason in a die statement. So if I head over to, let's see, delete one. Now let's assume that we're talking about an ID of 35. And we bypass authorization, go like that. You can see that it now says Rambo. Now let's JSON the input. So here we go. So you can now see that we've got a params with an ID. So we're going to do exactly the same as we did before. And that means I know that I'm repeating the code here, but I just want to get it working, you know. Right, so there's our token. Everything's looking beautiful. And this time I'm going to JSON member object. So if we do that and submit, it's saying that we have an ID. I'm kind of surprised by that. Well, that's fine. I mean, I'll test it all later on. But what we're going to do is make sure this record belongs to this user. So I'm going to say member ID is member object loading up ID. As a matter of fact, let's even chuck a wee int in here. Then I'm going to say JSON params true. Pardon me, JSON input true. Okay, so the params takes in a record ID. So I'm going to say record ID is input params record ID. There it is right there. Now, so what I could just do now is say the record ID is that. I'll say or 0. Now let's just say set type record ID is integer. So it's now impossible for these things to produce an SQL error, injection error. With that being the case, I'm going to just say delete from No, we're not going to do that. We'll keep. I'll respect the way that this framework works. So I'll say record object is this model get where record ID, and we're going to get from the table website records. So let's now just JSON record object with a little die statement. So if we go like this, hang on, var dump record ID die int 0. Okay, 1 2 3 4, change of plan. The record ID is going to be segment 4. Oh, in fact, hang on a second. Hang on 1 second. This is at the wrong part. Can you believe it? Alright, well let's just say record ID is segment 4. Okay, so record ID is an integer of segment 4. Okay, so now we're going to get the record object. There you go. Now let's do a little JSON on this record object here. Of course, the ID is 25. Pardon me, 35. There you go. So it's 35. So if the record object is equivalent to false, we're going to say HTTP response code is 400, bad request, and then just do a die statement. Maybe we'll just even echo record not found in a die statement. But if the record object exists, then the target member ID is record object loading up members ID. So if we echo target member ID with a die statement, you can see that it's 1. And the actual member ID, well, if we echo member ID die statement, undefined variable, so it's saying 1 again. Okay, so let's supposing that the record ID is 30. If the record ID is 30, I'm going to echo target member ID. You can see that that says 7. So the target member ID is going to be that. And I'll just say or 0, right? No, that's impossible. We don't need to do that. But let's just do another set type so that we're being really super cautious. Perfect. So we have now made absolute sure that the member ID, I could actually just do that. The member ID is an integer, the target member ID is an integer. And if the target member ID does not equal the member ID, so if they don't match, we do an HTTP response code of 401 and we echo forbidden. I almost wrote forbidden there. So here we go. And now it says forbidden. But if everything is okay, because it's a before hook, we just return input. Now meanwhile, back over on our delete thing here. Back over here, we're just going to say if HTTP dot status is equivalent to 401, and remember that 401 means forbidden or something like that. Unauthorized. There you go. So that should take care of that. And over here, if it's 401, we're just going to say window.location.href is base URL plus members logout. Excellent. So that's assuming that we are good. And in fact, you know what? We could chuck this in here. There you go. Alright, so that should be it. Everything looks fine. So we return the input, blah, 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 blah. I think it's good. So now we're going to test this out, and that'll be my last thing of the day, hopefully. Here we go. So if we go like that, now I'm going to click here. Oh, you miserable swine. Ah, Jiminy. Okay, oh, do you know what happened? I know right now, before I even looked. What we did is we forgot to attach our token onto the thing. That's all it is. So if we go to /delete, so we should have said HTTP set request header, content type, I can't remember this. Application /JSON, that's it. Is that right? It is. So then we add our token in. So this should work this time. So we're going back here. I'll add a record. Now I'll delete this last record here. Actually, let's delete this record. There you go. Now, let's do one more. I'll chuck in a bunch of X's here. I have no idea what just happened. Let me try this again. Maybe some X's here. Okay, cool. So we've got this one with a bunch of X's. Do you see it? Now, let's browse. Here it is. And we'll just pretend that the member ID is another number. So if I now come in and try and delete this one, it should kick me out. Well, it just says forbidden, damn. And there's why. Okay, let me do that again. So I'll add in a new item with, let's go. Okay, we'll do all of the Y's this time. Okay, now we know that the delete works. So once again, I'll just change the member's ID to something else. Let's change it to like 5 or something. So just imagining it's a different ID. Now if I try and delete this, it should kick us out. There you go. And I think that is just about perfect. So well done us. We managed to get that nailed. And I think it's looking pretty good, you know. That's going to be me for this live stream, I think. And thank you so much for being here. I'll just, do you think it's cool? It's super cool. I would be so hyped. You know what? You're probably on it yourself. Martin here is here. Hello, Martin. I just noticed you. He says, hi DC, would you be using your matrix auth? Yes, I would. I'll be using matrix auth. And in fact, let's have a poll. I'm going to do a tutorial next week. I'm going back to doing YouTube tutorials. So the question I have just before we finish, I shall respect the results of the poll. What should my next YouTube tutorial be? Matrix Auth, which I'm quite excited about, or machine learning with PHP. Pick one of them, because I'm all in for the tutorials again, you know. And while you do that, I'll just have a look and make sure we're happy here. I think we're looking all right. Yep, I think we're looking all right. So here's our page. I'm going to just change all of those member IDs to 1. So SQL set members ID equals 1 where ID is greater than 0. Here it goes. So as you can see, we've now got a whole bunch of records here, and the delete is working perfectly now. Look at the nice fade in and fade out at the top. Well, maybe not there. Geez, stuff like that can be a bit annoying, eh? Anyway, here we go. It's all happening. Pretty cool, isn't it? The last tutorial I did on YouTube was good, but it was too long, you know. Ah, well, okay. Well, I appreciate the votes. The next one that we do then shall be Matrix Auth. We'll do that next week, okay? That'll be coming at you soon. Folks, I want to say a huge thank you for being here. I really, really appreciate it. And thanks to my special employers who have donated so graciously and generously. I appreciate it. But thanks to each and every one of you folks for passing by. Where else would you rather be on a Saturday, right? Where else would you rather be? You know. Anyway, thanks once again. It has been a pleasure and a privilege. We had 10 memberships gifted. I'm not entirely sure how that works, but it sounds good to me. In fact, yeah, I'll have a look at it and I'll let you know how that plays out. I think we had about 20 members. I don't know what that might be now. But thanks again so much. I appreciate it. I appreciate you. Stay cool. Keep on coding. And may the force be with us all, because heaven knows it's no longer with Star Wars. I'll catch you later.